All right. Good morning. Thank you to KSA and KWRI for giving me the opportunity to talk about all things post-construction related in Louisville and Jefferson County. My name is Brett Clark, and I am the MS4 Program Administrator for Louisville and Jefferson County Metropolitan Sewer District. I have been with MSD for 6 years now and have been primarily managing the post-construction runoff controls program. We are going to cover a ton of different topics related to this program, so I am happy to answer questions following the presentation. All right, first we will take a look at the basic overview of the post-construction program. I'll talk about how we meet our permit requirements through inspection and enforcement, as well as how we track compliance. We'll also spend some time on our design manual and other resources we've created to help the development community with design, construction, and maintenance of post-construction best management practices. I'll also hit on the importance of stormwater quality maintenance agreements and issues we've had with these, and then I'll finish with the self-inspection requirement and MSD's post-construction inspector program, the QPCI. All right, before we jump into post-construction, I first wanted to highlight the 3 hats we wear here at MSD. Our first business function is obviously wastewater. We treat 155 million gallons of wastewater a day at five of our water quality treatment centers in Jefferson County. We also own and operate the stormwater drainage system within Jefferson County, which is 376 square mile. It's a 376 square mile drainage area with more than 1,100 miles of pipe. And last but not least, we own and operate the flood protection system in Louisville, which includes 26 miles of flood wall and earthen levee, which protects $34 billion in property. As you can see, we play a vital role in keeping our community waterways safe and clean. All right, leaning into the stormwater drainage component of our responsibility, the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System Program protects 11 watersheds and 760 miles of streams in Jefferson County. And one of the ways we can do this is by enforcing post-construction runoff controls for new construction. So MSD is one of the 2 Phase 1 MS4 permitted communities in Kentucky, the other being Lexington. Our current permit expired in January of 2022 and has been administratively extended ever since. Here is a list of the minimum control measures that are required for a current permit. Today we are just going to be discussing MCM5, the post-construction control runoff control program. All right, our post-construction runoff requirements are probably very similar to most of your communities. Our permit requires treatment of the 80th percentile rain event, runoff volume from newly constructed impervious surfaces. The 80th percentile rain event for Jefferson County was set at 0.6 inches. This is only applicable to all development with disturbed area equal to or greater than 1 acre, including projects less than 1 acre that are part of a larger common plan of development or a common scheme of development equal to or greater than 1 acre. And this requirement started in 2013. So we have almost a decade working through this program. And I will also note that these BMPs must be maintained and monitored for the life of the impervious surface that was permitted. And we enforce this through an agreement with the developer or property owner, which is the stormwater quality maintenance agreement. And I'll talk about this a little bit later. And since 2013, we have added over 1,300 post-construction BMPs Through this MS4 requirement, MSD also tracks the operation and maintenance of approximately 200 more BMPs that were constructed as part of our combined sewer overflow consent decree. These consent decree projects started in 2010, so MSD has about 15 years of experience managing post-construction BMPs. And this is a map. This map is a screenshot of an ArcGIS online map that we use to track inspections and enforcement for post-construction. And I will kind of jump into that shortly. All right, so this is a dashboard bar graph showing the breakdown of BMP types that are included in the inventory of 1,500 BMPs from the previous slide. As you can see, the water quality unit is the overwhelming favorite for development and design engineers to meet that stormwater treatment requirement. Over the last 11 to 12 years, we have added over 800 water quality units. And so we add about 100 to 125 post-construction BMPs per year through site disturbance permit releases. And not 95% of those are probably water quality units. So just only a handful of green infrastructure projects being added per year. All right, I'm now going to talk a little bit about how MSD meets the inspection oversight requirement of its MS4 permit. Our Stormwater Quality Management Plan, or SQIMP, currently states that we will inspect each BMP once per permit cycle. Knowing that the majority of these BMPs are not going to be inspected or maintained without a little push from MSD, it is MSD procedure to have these on a 2 to 3 year inspection rotation. Currently, we are meeting this demand with one dedicated employee who conducts 400 to 500 post-construction BMP inspections per year. We also use a small consulting contract to supplement another 50 to 100 inspections per year. We were able to streamline the inspection process to meet this demand by going digital with the use of Esri ArcGIS Online mobile applications. And with having a GIS background, I could give a whole presentation on the benefits of ArcGIS field applications for inspection purposes. But for the sake of time, I'm going to keep this brief. At MSD, we have a database of record that our permits, assets, and work orders run through. And we use this database to create a dynamic and functional map in ArcGIS Online. And we use this map to track BMP types, locations, inspection statuses, inspection dates, among other relevant information. And all of this information is easily accessed and edited from a phone or tablet using the Field Maps app. We've also been able to hyperlink construction plans and links to the recorded stormwater quality maintenance and links to the stormwater quality maintenance agreements for each BMP point. And we can easily make updates to a filter that allows us to meet enforcement deadlines in that 2 to 3 year inspection rotation. And this is something that can be put together pretty quickly and cheaply. And we have also created a hyperlink in the Field Maps app that allows us to automatically open and pre-populate the Esri Survey 123 application for inspection. We have created a customizable form that allows us to log a full inspection for each BMP type and even attach pictures. And that inspection data is then stored in a database that can be accessed from the internet. And if needed, specifically when enforcement letters are issued, a formal inspection with MSD branding can be exported to a PDF, including those pictures. All right, I'll hit on this a bit later, but we also require the property owners of post-construction BMPs to submit their own annual reports every July 1st. This has been challenging, but I think it has brought awareness to many of these BMPs for the property owners. And with that, an annual report, we ask for the not only the inspection results, but also any documentation of maintenance that they've done throughout the year. So any inspections that they do have to be completed by an MSD qualified post-construction inspector. Again, I'll spend some time on this program a bit further in the presentation. Now I will hit on everybody's favorite topic, enforcement. Enforcement through our post-construction program has been a work in progress, but I do think we have developed a consistent process that works. If we go out and determine that a BMP is not meeting design standards, a notice of correction letter will be issued, and that gives the property owner 60 to 120 days to bring the BMP into compliance without further action. And so that 60 to 120 days is based off of a matrix we developed related to maintenance severity. And we also take a look at the planting season when setting enforcement dates. We definitely do not want to force someone to plant in the middle of August, knowing that we will probably be right back into enforcement for the same exact thing next visit due to lack of watering. So an example of a 60-day due date might be a routine water quality unit cleaning with a vac truck. And then an example of a more severe 120-day due date might be just a complete rehab of a rain garden or green dry basin for ponding water. So it kind of starts with that notice of correction. And so if that notice of correction is not resolved by the due date, then a notice of violation or NOV letter and a $1,000 fine is issued to the property owner. And this letter is sent certified, and it threatens to include a $50 per day per BMP fine if the violation is not resolved by the NOV due date. The NOV due date is set at the same 60 to 120 days as the notice of correction. We luckily have only dealt with enforcement pushing beyond the NOV a handful of times. And once enforcement does reach that $50 per day per BMP fine, a notice of citation is issued and a monthly invoice is sent to the property owner. And once that fine total has reached $3,000, the case is forwarded to our legal department. Luckily, we've also only had one project that this has happened to, and we got their attention very quickly. And they're currently working with an engineer on resolving the issue, and we have milestone dates that they have to keep in order to prevent going further down the path of having a lien on their property or getting sued by MSD. All right, another important aspect of the post-construction controls program is maintenance. MSD currently owns and operates 135 post-construction BMPs. Some of these were installed as demonstration projects, others as incentives to satisfy the long-term controls program of our combined sewer consent decree, and others because we simply disturbed an acre and triggered the 80th percentile rain event treatment requirement. These 135 BMPs require $200,000 or more and growing of maintenance contracts. We have a native plants expert and arborist who maintains all of our green infrastructure for us. And then we have a vac truck contractor who cleans out our water quality infrastructure and permeable paver sections. And this budget continues to grow with the increase in labor and material costs, as well as new BMPs being added each year through various programs. Now I will dive into some of the green infrastructure and post-construction program resources we offer at MSD. All of these resources can be found on our new and improved website. First, I will talk a bit about Chapter 18 of the MSD Design Manual. This chapter specifically provides guidance for managing the water quality requirements on a project site. Chapter 18 was originally published in 2013 with significant updates coming in 2021. And most of these updates in 2021 were a result of operation and maintenance issues we were observing in the field. We currently have 15 approvable post-construction BMPs, and I will run through some of the updates we made in 2021. So the original version of Chapter 18 had a ton of redundant and useless information. So we created a more concise guidance by editing and organizing the information better. This just cut down a bunch of pages. There used to be an outdated section for strategies and concepts for designing post-construction and green infrastructure BMPs. We decided this would be better displayed as a tool rather than directly in our design manual. We also just needed to update the formatting so that it would match other chapters in the design manual. Over time, we have identified some areas in the design manual that have needed updating. Soils associated with green infrastructure practices are critical. We updated the infiltration testing requirement by reducing one test pit per 400 square feet to one test pit per 2,500 square feet of practice area. We also revised the minimum groundwater table requirement to be at least 2 feet below the practice, with 4 feet being the preferred depth. And I also want to note that we added a requirement for a 4-inch cleanouts for the underdrains. Again, that's just keeping maintenance in mind. And we made a simple modification to the required engineered soil mixture to include a slightly higher sand content. We also added a note that engineered soils must be used unless the native soils have an infiltration rate of 0.5 inches per hour. A few other general design changes to note. We added that under drains were required for infiltration practices that have rates less than 0.5 inches per hour. We also revised the maximum ponding time to 36 hours to align with the detention basin requirement in Chapter 10 of the design manual. We now require landscape plans for any BMP with vegetation requirements. And the biggest changes from our 2021 updates, we removed porous asphalt, pervious concrete, and rainwater harvesting as an MSD approved BMP for meeting a site's water quality runoff requirement. This was due to long-term operation and maintenance failures and or just not aligning with MSD's water quality goals and standards. A few BMP specific changes we made. We combined rain gardens and bioswales into one section. They were very similar, so that made sense. We also added a requirement that bioswales must have a minimum slope of 1% or an underdrain is needed. This was to eliminate ponding issues we were seeing in the field. We also started requiring an overflow on bioretention designs for large storm events. And we also use RES, a subject matter expert, to review our constructed wetlands section and make suggested changes to the design standards and details. And we ended up reducing the drainage area minimum for constructed wetlands to 5 acres. We also added more description for pocket wetland design. And we revised the depths for shallow marsh areas to 0 to 6 inches, and then the deep emergent marsh areas 6 to 12 inches. We made green wet basins much more green. No longer could a developer use an existing cattle pond to meet the water quality requirements just because they had the depth and volume. We revised the minimum depth of a green wet basin from 4 feet to 5 feet to align with Chapter 10 again. And we also added vegetation requirements around the perimeter of the basin to reduce bank erosion and help filter pollutants. And to reduce ponding issues we were seeing in the field, we added a 1% slope minimum to the flow path of a green dry basin. And we also added that the 25-year storm event for the outlet design, and we also added a requirement for non-turf grass vegetation in the basin bed for green dry basins. And then here are some changes that we made for permeable pavers. I'm not going to go through all of them, but the biggest change is that we no longer allow paver sections to be in drive lanes due to load issues we were seeing in the field. We also removed grass pavers as a treatment option. We will, however, treat grass pavers as a pervious area. And then vegetative buffers, aka veggie buffers, now require a contributing drainage area length less than 300 feet. We also removed the requirement for an infiltration rate of at least 2 inches per hour. So this is more of an overland filtering BMP rather than an infiltration practice. As for water quality units, we added a maximum depth of 25 feet due to maintenance issues. Believe it or not, we were seeing instances where the sump of these units would be 30 or more feet in the ground. And this made it very hard to inspect and clean properly. And since these units are required to be offline in Jefferson County, we did make a requirement for the weir height or offset pipe elevations of these structures to be a minimum of 6 inches. We were seeing instances where the pipes may have been less than a tenth of an inch difference. And just due to tolerance issues during construction, the majority of the stormwater was bypassing the unit for treatment. So for open infiltration trenches, which we categorize as having aggregate to filter stormwater, the max flow length of the contributing area was updated to 300 feet. We also added more language to require an underdrain if infiltration rates were less than 0.5 inches per hour. And we also added language stating that the maximum drainage area shall be no larger than 1 acre or more than 10-to-1 drainage area to BMP footprint. And then we also, for operation and maintenance, we reduced some of the maintenance requirements, such as we reduced the bioretention schedule. Then the big change was that we added an upon failure maintenance description, and that was basically what can someone do with the BMP that is beyond routine maintenance, whether it's a full rehab or the BMP is just not working and you got to go back to the drawing board. So we added some guidance to that. And then to finish up discussing Chapter 18 of the design manual, I wanted to talk a little bit about our BMP maintenance schedules. So in Chapter 18, each BMP has its own maintenance schedules, and a lot of these were put together with long-term maintenance or operation in mind and things that we were noticing in the field. So a lot of thought went into these. So this is a good, just a good tool for some of you all to use. All right, now I will briefly discuss Chapter 13 of the design manual. This chapter provides the user with tools to establish or reestablish native plants in areas that have been disturbed by construction activities. This chapter was updated in 2022. It has not made it onto our website yet. But first and foremost, this chapter includes a list of approved flowers, shrubs, trees that can be used in design. This chapter also includes planting guidance for design, installation, and maintenance. And it also includes a section on green infrastructure plant guidance specifically. And then at the end of the chapter, there is also guidance on invasive species, which is a list of non-approved MSD plantings Definitely no more bush honeysuckle along the creek. So this leads me into our interactive plant guide tool that is available on our website. We basically created a database of all the approved plantings from Chapter 13, and I will do a quick demo of this tool before we jump into long-term stormwater quality maintenance agreements. This is a quick demonstration for how to use and access our new interactive plant guide. If you go to our website, louisvillemsd.org, and scroll down a little bit to the middle of the page, you will see a water quality icon. Click that. Scroll down again, and you will see a post-construction icon. Click that. And now in the middle of the page, you will see our MSD plant guide. Click that. So now that we have made it to the interactive plant guide tool, you can see there are several different parameters that will help you pick the plants for your project that fit best. For the purposes of this training, I'm going to select grasses that fit well for the sun. Let's do a rain garden bioretention type situation. Also native to Kentucky, and click apply. And so this will produce a list of a bunch of different grass species that fit those parameters. For the purpose of this training, I'm going to click fox sedge. And this just brings up more detail related to the species of plant, like project uses, height, and root depths. So yeah, please go to our website and enjoy this tool. All right. And so if you are an MS4 regulator and don't know what a stormwater quality maintenance agreement is, you might be in trouble. Stormwater quality maintenance agreement, we call it the SWQMA at MSD, is a long-term operation, inspection, and maintenance agreement between the property owner who has a required water quality treatment BMP and the regulator, in this case, MSD. I will talk about key components of an SWQMA and the importance of accurately recording this document and the changes we made to the agreement and our processes to improve efficiencies. So here at MSD, we have access to some amazing GIS data through our Louisville Jefferson County Information Consortium, or LOGIC. But if you want to use, you'll definitely want to use the PVA data from your community to ensure that the address and property owner are correct on these agreements. You'll also want to ensure that the property owner referenced in the agreement refers to the correct deed book and page. Most PVA data sets will have all of this information. So next, you will want to make sure that the signature is original and that the person signing is authorized. I'll talk about how to check this on the next page. Just make sure that the signature is the original and it is not a copy. That's the main part. So using the Kentucky Secretary of State's business entity search, you can type the property owner or business name to access information related to that business. And then if you click on the current officers tab, you will get a list of authorized members. If the name on the agreement is not listed here, you will need what is called a corporate resolution, or just further legal documentation proving that the person who signed the document has the legal authority to do so. So this is just an example of the corporate resolution we are using. You're basically getting an authorized officer for the business to give the non-authorized signatory permission to sign on behalf of the business. This does not need to be an original wet copy, and we usually just attach it to the back of the document. So once you have that document executed, you can now record this at your county clerk's office. It is very important that these documents are executed correctly and properly recorded, because they may be your only avenue for enforcing that the property owners of these BMPs operate and maintain the BMPs for the life of the permitted impervious surface. You legally need this document to be recorded for enforcement purposes. So we've been doing this for a while now, and we made the process as simple as possible. This agreement used to be reviewed and initialed by 4 or 5 different individuals at MSD. This was before COVID, when everything was put into a manila folder and sent into an inter-office mail. And this process just took unnecessarily too long and often resulted in a missing agreement. Now the agreement comes in, I check it for accuracy, and then I immediately send it to legal for approval and signature. And then it comes back to the MS4 group for signature and notary. I even became a notary to cut the need for a separate notary to be involved in the process. And so through this, since we've streamlined it so much, we made it to where you are not allowed to get your site disturbance permit unless that agreement has been approved and signed by our legal counsel. And this is a process that may take 3 to 5 days, depending on who's in the office. And then, so now I want to talk about some of the changes we've made to the SWQMA in the past 3 years. Instead of requiring a plan sheet or map of the location of the BMP or BMPs that used to go at the back of the document, we just simply asked for the BMP type and the latitude and longitude. And this cut down on an extra page, which can get expensive in the recording process, especially if you're recording, 100 to 150 a year. This also, it just led to a large amount of agreements getting rejected by legal, which even slowed the process down even more. On the old version of the agreement, we also had several check boxes of maintenance activities that were different for each BMP. We were asking the design engineer to check the boxes that were relevant to that project's BMPs. Unfortunately, this also led to a lot of errors and inconsistencies. Now we simply attach the maintenance schedules I talked about earlier from Chapter 18 of the design manual that correspond to the project's BMPs. This is much more efficient and consistent. And this process also cut out another page from having to be recorded. And then also previously, we required annual inspection reports of the BMPs on the anniversary of the BMP's agreement date. So juggling the different anniversary dates for these 1,500 BMPs was kind of time consuming and was kind of a nightmare. So we just simply made the due date for owner-led inspection reporting July 1st of each year. And this just gives us one date that we have to track and allows us to send one reminder per year to the property owners of all of these BMPs. And then, so this leads me into our online qualified post-construction inspector training. As I mentioned in previous slides, every property owner within SWQMA is required to submit an annual inspection report. The catch is the inspection must be completed by an MSD qualified post-construction inspector or QPCI. The QPCI used to be a half-day in-person training and was much less efficient. We were only getting 10 to 15 participants per year before we created the online QPCI. This online training module was originally created in the summer of 2020 with the help of a consultant using a program called Articulate. We've had over 350 participants take the online QPCI since August 2020. We wanted to make it as easy as possible for a property owner to conduct an inspection if they wanted. Most of the inspections are for water quality units, and in most cases do not require an expensive engineer's analysis. We wanted to equip the non-stormwater professional with the expertise and knowledge to monitor their own BMPs. If anything, this has raised awareness of the BMP's existence for the property owners. Before this program, many of the property owners or property managers were unaware of these BMPs and their maintenance requirements, especially if they were underground and out of sight. The module covers the following topics before hitting on 6 MSD approved BMPs and inspection examples. So you're going to get a background information of the Clean Water Act and MS4, clear responsibilities of the inspector, what to review before conducting an inspection, like plans, the agreements, previous inspection reports, possible tools and PPE that's needed for the inspection, and then just general information on how to conduct a quality inspection. The online QPCI allows the user to look at real-life photos and complete a virtual inspection using BMP-specific checklists. Once the user has successfully completed all 6 of the BMP modules, they have to take a quiz, and the passing score is an 80%. At that point, a Microsoft form will pop up, and a certificate and inspector number will be generated based on the form answers and emailed to the user who completed the training. The certification is good for 3 years. And that is the end of my presentation. So I guess we will use this extra time for questions. Thank you.